Hello everyone. Welcome back to the third lecture of our course, Introduction to Toy Design. In the previous lectures, we understood why toys matter. Today, we shift our focus from object to the designer. In lecture 1, when we discussed what is not a toy, Mayers showed us that toy design sits in a tension between teaching and letting the child interpret, structure and imagination, safety and conceptual transgression. In this lecture, we will explore the critical role that thoughtfully designed toys play in child development, creativity, and learning. We will examine how the aesthetics, functionality, and safety of toys influence children's experiences and interactions. We will see how toys serve as miniature worlds, enabling children to engage in imaginative play. We will also discuss how these micro-environments foster explorations, creativity, and social interactions, allowing children to experiment with different scenarios and roles. We will bring light to how toys facilitate communication and relationships among peers, highlight the way toys act bridges in social interactions, helping children to express emotions, collaborate, and negotiate with one another during play, and analyze the educational value of toys in promoting learning across various domains. From cognitive development to motor skills, we will emphasize how specific toy design can reinforce concepts like problem solving, spatial awareness, and critical thinking. Then we will zoom out briefly to understand the economic and industry ecosystems your designs enter. By the end of this lecture, you won't just appreciate toys, you will appreciate toy design. You will understand how small design choices create big experiences. You will see toys not only as objects, but as situations, interactions, and worlds that children enter. Let us now shift the lens a bit and ask an equally important question: why does toy design matter? Toys are not just objects. They influence how children think, feel, interact, explore, and imagine. Toy designers don't just shape children's hands, they shape children's worldviews. In the last presentation, we understood how toys can be enablers. Now, we need to understand what role designers can play as creators of the said enablers. Design choices influences what children see as normal, possible, or aspirational. Designers can intentionally embed experiences that enable curiosity and sensory exploration, problem solving, creativity, emotional comfort, and even cultural continuity within the toys. Let us see some examples of how. Let's begin with curiosity, which is one of the most fundamental drivers of early learning. And it almost always begins with sensory experience. Children explore the world through their senses long before they explore it through language. They feel the surface of an object, the sound something makes, the glow of a color, the movement of a part. All of these invites the first spark of curiosity. Intentional toy design uses sensory elements not just to entertain, but to gently provoke the question, what happens if I do this? That moment, the moment when a child reaches, shakes, presses, pulls, or tilts something, is the beginning of scientific thinking. Some examples of intentional design are a rattle with a soft glow or a shifting bead pattern that encourages shaking, a toy with contrasting textures that encourages touching, rubbing, comparing, a sensory tube with glitters that swirls slowly when moved, a magnetic disc that ripples and attracts, inviting experimentation, a simple wind-up creature that moves unpredictable. Each of these sensory affordances is placed there intentionally to pull the child's in, to make them want to explore, to make them observe, repeat, test, compare, and discover. Curiosity does not happen accidentally. It is designed through controlled unpredictability, safe novelty, and sensory richness. Good toy design ensures the child is not overwhelmed, but is gently drawn into exploration, which is the foundation of all learning. Why it works? Here, the toy is designed so that something changes when the child interacts with it, making exploration irresistible. Children learn to solve problems long before they know what problem solving means. Toy designers can create small, safe challenges that encourage thinking, experimenting, failing, and trying again. The key is not to teach, but to invite discovery. Some examples of intentional design for problem solving are stacking rings with graduated size. A child must figure out which ring goes where. Shape sorters, matching shapes to openings, open-ended building sets, blocks that require balancing, arranging, or stabilizing. The designer builds in a challenge that is achievable but not obvious, allowing children to learn through trial and error. Creativity does not come from teaching children to be creative. It comes from giving them the freedom and the materials to invent, transform, and imagine things that do not exist yet. This is where toy design plays a remarkable role. A well-designed toy does not tell a child what to do. It suggests possibility, leaves space for interpretation, and invites them to take ownership of the experience. Myers argues that toys work best when the player's imagine dominates the object. Unlike games, which have fixed rules, and unlike educational tools, which have fixed meanings, toys succeed when they allow ambiguous interpretation. In an absence of significance, this means it is the child, not the toy, who decides what the object represents. Children think in symbols, stories, and transformations. So when designers often open-ended objects, things that can become many things, they are giving children a canvas for imagination. A single wooden block can become a car, a phone, a bed, a character, a spaceship, or something we could never predict. And that unpredictability, that ability to become something completely new, is not an accident. It is designed, and it is designer's choice. When designers choose simplicity or modularity or materials that feel alive or objects without a fixed narrative, they are very intentionally creating room for imagination. Creativity grows in the spaces where children are allowed to decide the story. Some examples include wooden blocks, magnetiles, Duplo, foam shapes. When there is no right answer, the child decides the purpose, scale, story, and structure. Additionally, minimal open-ended toys like packed dolls, simple blocks, or loose part toy sets take on infinite identities, allowing children to project meaning and build worlds through symbolic thinking. The fewer details a toy has, the more meaning the child projects onto it. A simple figure can be happy, sad, a hero, a parent, a friend, depending on the story. This aligns with classic design philosophy from Waldorf Steiner toys. Less details gives more imagination. Props that invite role play, such as mini mats, wooden spoons, cardboards, boxes, simple hats, also encourage creativity. These non-specific items help children enter characters and build social imagination. Designing for creativity and imagination. Imagination thrives when toys have blank spaces for children to feel. Now let's talk about the role of toys that is often invisible but incredibly powerful: emotional comfort. Children experience the world in intense ways. New environments, loud sounds, sudden transitions, separation, frustration, these can feel overwhelming. A well-designed toy can help emotionally hold the child when the world feels too big. Toy designers can intentionally create toys that support self-regulation, offering the child a sense of safety, familiarity, and grounding. Some strategies designers use to create such toys may include a soft texture that invites holding, a predictable action that calms the nervous system, a warm, friendly form that feels companion-like, a gentle weight that provides grounding, a rhythmic sensory element that slows the child's breathing, or simply the fact that the toy is always there, unchanged, dependable. These design choices are not random, they are intentional pathways to emotional safety. This matters because for many children, a comforting toy becomes a familiar object in unfamiliar places, a safe anchor during transitions, school, sleep, or travel, a companion during separation anxiety, a way to cope with frustration or overstimulation, a bridge back to calmness after a big emotion. Children do not usually articulate this, but they show it by holding, stroking, carrying, or sleeping with the toy. Good toy design does not just create play, it creates comfort, continuity, and emotional resilience. Toys such as weighted or character-based plush toys, soft glow night companions, slow response sensory toys have intentionally been designed to feel relatable and provide grounding and calm through sensory inputs that helps regulate and nervous system. Until now, we have been looking at toys as objects, their purpose, their categories, and how design influences curiosity, creativity, and comfort. But good toy design does not stop at the object. A well-designed toy creates an experience. Toys become small, self-contained micro-environment where children can test ideas, explore emotions, practice skills, and build relationship. So instead of asking, what does this toy look like? A toy designer must ask, what does this toy allow to happen? Because a toy can shape how a child interacts with a parent, how they negotiate with peers, and how they understand the world from science to empathy. This section is about shifting our perspective from designing things to designing interactions, possibilities, and experiences. When we think of toys, it's easy to imagine them as things, objects with shapes, color, mechanisms. But for children, toys are much more than objects. They function as emotional and cognitive environments, small, manageable worlds in which children can explore ideas, test possibilities, rehearse life, and make meanings. A microenvironment is a small structured space created by the toy that changes how a child thinks or feels while engaging with it. For example, a simple set of magnetic tiles creates a world where things can float, connect, balance. Structures can grow and collapse. Imagination and physics blend naturally. Or consider a hand puppet. The moment the puppet appears, a new social world opens. Voices change, rules soften, emotion becomes expressive, and communication becomes playful. A toy creates a micro environment where something feels possible, a place to experiment with cause and effect, a space to pretend, a situation to negotiate, a moment to connect. This is where toy design becomes powerful. We are not just designing objects, we are designing situations, moments, interactions, and states of mind. These micro environments help children enter states of exploration, focus, collaboration, or storytelling, not because the toy demands it, but because the toy invites it. Toys also mediate interactions. They shape how relationships unfold. Between child and parent, a toy becomes a bridge. Imagine a very young child and parent with a stacking toy. The parent models, a child imitates. They take turns, laugh together, break the tower together. The toy gives them a shared rhythm, a simple, reliable activity that invites joint attention, conversation, and warmth. Designers can intentionally build these moments into toys by ensuring clear affordances, cooperative possibilities, simple but engaging actions, space for shared success. The toy creates the context, the interaction grows from it. With peers, toys become negotiation tools. For example, a construction set naturally encourages turn-taking, sharing pieces, combining ideas, resolving tiny conflicts, co-creating a story or structure, while a pretend play set invites role negotiation. You are the conductor, I will be the passenger, or let's both the builders. while a pretend play sets invites role negotiation, like you be the conductor, I will be the passenger, or let's both be builders. The toy suggests the world, but children decides the social rules. In this way, the toy becomes a mediator for cooperation, challenge, and creativity. Toys don't just support development. In the background, many educational approaches use toys as deliberate teaching tools. In pedagogy, toys are not only objects for play, they become structured materials through which ideas are introduced, explored, and mastered. This is very different from toys naturally enabling development. Here, toys are intentionally chosen or designed to support a specific learning philosophy. Different pedagogical traditions use toys as learning tools, such as in traditional setups like kindergartens, Montessori, and Reggio Emilia's classroom, and most recently in modern STEM education with the inclusion of toy labs for scientific learnings and socio-emotional learnings, programs that include props such as emotions, card, and empathy toys for the development of social skills and understanding. We will discuss this in detail later. So the real task of toy design is not simply to create objects. Objects sit on shelves. Experiences stay with the children. A well-designed toy shapes how a child approaches a problem, how they connect with others, how they imagine, how they make meaning, how they experience the world. Which means toy designers must also think like experience designers, interaction designers, storytellers, environment builders, as well as educators. Which means toy designers must also think like experience designers, interaction designers, storytellers, environment builders, as well as educators. We may design a block, but we are actually designing a world the child can build in. We might design a puppet, but we are actually designing a voice the child can speak through. We could design a robot, but we are designing a way for the child to understand logic, cause and effect. This is what it means for toys to become emotional and cognitive environment, and why design matters far beyond the object itself. So far, we have understood how toys shape thinking, emotion, imagination, culture, and relationships. But there is another dimension to toy design that we often forget. Toys are not only meaningful for children, they are significant for economies, craft communities, and global industries. Behind every toy a child plays with, there is a supply chain of designers, craftspeople, manufacturers, marketers, retailers, and storytellers. So before we dive deeper into design processes and categories, let's take a brief look at the economic and industry importance of toys. The toy industry is one of the world's most resilient consumer sectors. Year after year, it continues to grow, not only because children are being born, but because the ways we play and the categories of toys keep expanding. From traditional toys to digital and tech-enabled experiences, from plush companions to construction systems, from collectibles to STEM toys, every new idea creates new market movement. This is why toy design matters on an economic level. An imaginative idea does not just influence a child's life, it can ripple through global manufacturing, retail, and innovation. Additionally, in many countries, especially in Asia, the toy sector supports entire communities. Handcrafted toy clusters such as Channapatna, Kondapalli, Etikopaka, and Varanasi woodworkers generate livelihoods through skills, tradition, and craftsmanship. Across Asia, there is also a huge unorganized toy sector. Small workshops, home-based makers, and family-run units that produce toys at a scale that often goes unrecorded but powers everyday play. These are the toys sold in local markets, meals, street stalls, and neighborhood shops. They may not appear in official industry reports, but they make up a massive share of what children actually play with. For designers, they represent an ecosystem with incredible potential for collaboration, upskilling, safety improvements, and culturally relevant innovation. In such a way, every new design concept has the potential to create employment, not only in large factories, but in small artisan ecosystems as well. In India itself, the toy industry has seen a significant shift. The last few years have brought increased domestic manufacturing, rising exports, government support for quality and safety standards, interest in reviving traditional crafts, global companies investing in India, and Indian brands finding their own distinct voice. While we will cover market segmentation and industry structure later, for now it's important to recognize that toy design today sits at a moment of opportunity, with space of innovation, cultural storytelling, and ethical production. For designers, understanding the industry is not about learning business jargon. It's about seeing how your ideas travel through the world. A toy you conceptualize today might sustain a craft community, create a new niche in the market, be manufactured at scale, reach children across countries, inspire other products, or shift cultural imagination in meaningful ways. Knowing the economic landscape helps designers create toys that are not only playful and meaningful, but also viable, sustainable, and impactful beyond the playroom. So, when we talk about toy design, we are also talking about an ecosystem of people, skills, business, and communities. A toy may look simple, but the world behind it is vast, and that world continues to grow, creating opportunities for designers who can think imaginatively and navigate both creativity and industry. As we wrap up today's session, carry these ideas into the way we observe play, form, and imagination around you. We will dive deeper into toy design in the next lecture. Until then, stay curious, notice how joy and creativity take shape, and enjoy every playful moment.